In this tutorial for S-Contract quotations, we would like to show you how you can customize your report layouts to suit your business. Most reports can be customized, and we'll show you how you can do that right now. If we go into the project screen and we select a record and we go to, as an example, let's just pick the job start form. So if we click the job start form, this will print the job start information for this particular project. So there it is on the screen there. It's just a simple one-page report. If you look at the very top of the screen, it tells you the name of the report. If you look at the top, it says jobstart.frx. So this is the report layout we need to modify. So let's show you how we can do this. If we exit out of this, go to the main screen, go to Reports Utilities. You do need administrator access for this, so you need to enter in your password for that. Go into System Setup, go to Reports, and you have a list of report names on the right hand column. If we scroll down near the bottom, we actually see our job start file name, and we can double click on that to go into it. Now, the report editor is quite easy to use, but having said that, it can be a little bit dangerous. For example, some of the fields in the form, for example, we've got here like a reference number and a date required. These are internal fields in the system. If I double click on this, we can actually go into it. And we see some computer programming code there. So this is the sort of stuff that we don't want you to change because it can be quite dangerous. Now you can change the font and move this around, but we recommend that you don't change the actual field names in the system. Before we make a change to this report layout, it's always a good idea to make a backup first. So as you can see here, we've opened up Job Start as a file name. We can make a backup by going to File, Save As, and give it a name for the backup. You don't have to save it in the current folder, but it's probably a good idea to do that. So let's just call this Job Start Backup and click Save. If you look at the top of the screen there where it says Report Designer, it now says Job Start _ Backup because that's the name I gave it. So now I've created a backup. We don't want to actually modify this backup since it's only a backup and it's not the report that's going to be used. We actually can exit out and then go back into it. And as you can see, we have our jobstart.frx loaded in again, plus we have a backup. So let's make some modifications to this report now. Once again, we'll stretch this out. Let's start by deleting an existing picture file that's in here that seems to be blank. So that's just a matter of just clicking on that. It highlights it and you just press the delete key. You can also cut it as well. You can see here there is a report control toolbar here, and there are a number of different controls. One is just a pointer. One allows you to add a text label. The next one is to add a particular field, which is something that you probably wouldn't be doing. Creating lines, creating a rectangle, creating a rounded shaped rectangle, and inserting a picture control. So let's do that. Let's insert a picture control by clicking on that. And all we need to do is create a window by dragging across there. So clicking and dragging. This dialog box comes up where we can actually select by clicking on a control source, and we can actually browse for our image that we want to put into our report layout. So let's just pick one that's already in here, which is our company logo. And another useful tip is that if you click on this drop down box, we can say scale the contents and retain the shape. So we just click on OK there, and our company logo is inserted into our drawing. So we can actually drag the corner of this and stretch it out, make it as big as we want or as small as we want. Another thing you can do is that rather than just dragging and making things bigger, it's possible to actually, firstly, you can use the arrow keys as a fine-tuning way of moving any object around on your screen. Okay, so I'm just pressing the arrow keys here, up and down, left and right. I can hold the shift key down, press the arrows, and actually stretch it and make it longer as well. That's another option. So that's entering and creating a company logo. Of course, if I want to delete this, all I need to do is highlight it and press the delete key. If I want to add some text, say I wanted to change the heading and let's make the heading Job Start Worksheet. So I can just click on this report control, which is a label, and just click at the very top of the screen where we want the heading to go, and we want to call this Job Start Dash Worksheet. So you can see there it's just used a standard font, and just click out of that, and that's in there as a heading. Now to change the font, all we need to do is click on it and go to Format Font, and we can change this to a different font. So we might make it Calibri, and we might make it bold 14. There we go. So if we want it a little bit bigger than that, and we can move it as well. Let's highlight it again, format font, and of course you can change the font, strike out, underline, change the color, and change the script type as well. So if we make it a little bit bigger, let's make it 18, we have our Job Start Worksheet heading. We might decide that we want to put the client name at the top right hand side there, so we might want to delete this field. So all we need to do to delete a field is just click on it and press the delete button, or you can right click on it and just cut that out. So we might decide that we might want the client name at the top right hand corner. So let's just move this out of the way there, move this controller out of the way, and well, let's actually put the customer at the very top. So we might, it's possible to just cut and paste. So if we're happy with that existing font, I can do a copy and then click over here and go paste. So in other words, I did a right click to copy and then right click and then left click here now to paste. Okay, so let's put that customer field next to it, and I can modify this by moving it into place, clicking on the actual label control again, and then clicking on the actual text, and now we can just type this in. So we can just say builder / client name. I'll leave the colon there. Okay, so that's the client name, and now we can just move this into position. Now we might want to move this line. So we just click on the line, and I'm actually holding down the left arrow button, and it just moves it over. Then I can also drag that as well. So you can use the mouse or use the arrow keys to move things around. So there's our builder client name, and we're going to take this client name and move it into position here. And again, I'm going to use the arrow keys to move that into position. Then I might want to now put the project name and the site address underneath it, or maybe let's actually put the job number in position here. So let's move this job number here and move the actual job number there as well. Move that into position, and now we can just stretch this, make it longer or shorter, make it fit in there. So we have the builder client name, the job number in there, and we might decide that we might want to put the site address straight underneath it. So to do this, let's actually stretch this out and move this control out of the way again. Now I can highlight these fields together, so I can actually, because I've got the arrow clicked here, click on the little arrow there, I can now create a window which will select the project and site address together. So I can now move that anywhere I like. Now before moving that, let me just make a bit of extra space there by dragging down our page header so we have a bit more space. And I might not want some of these other fields here, so let's choose to delete this field, this bit of text, and this line will actually move a bit further down. Again, I'm using the arrow keys. Go back to our project and site address, which has highlighted everything, and now I can click on it and drag it into position. So now we have our project and site address in position there. It's possible to right click and change the properties as well, so that's another method of changing things. So you can go to properties and you can change the style, when it's printed, and some of these other options are slightly more advanced, which you may probably better off not going into. Okay, so what other controls do we have available? We can actually manually create a line. So let's actually just click on the line and just create a line. So there we have it. Okay, a line. And if we right click on the line, go to properties, again we can go to style, and we can change the actual thickness of that line. So that's where it's got the weight. So you've got different line styles as well. So it can be a dotted line, a dashed line, and so on. So if we keep a normal line, let's make it a thicker line and click on OK. As you can see there, it's become a much thicker line. Okay. A rectangle is very easy. Just click on the rectangle and you can create that. And again, you can move it. Once you've actually dropped it onto the screen, you can move it around. Then you've got a rounded rectangle. It's another option. And so on and so forth. So they're the different objects that you can put on the screen, and you've got flexibility to just change things around and move things around. As shown earlier, you can highlight a group of objects, click on the edge of one of those objects and move it around. You can highlight objects by holding the Shift key separately. So now that I've held down the Shift key and I've clicked on those individual objects, I can move those around. And when you've highlighted a few things at the same time, I'm going to show an example where you can use the layout toolbar to format your objects. So let's highlight these again. So I'm holding the Shift key down, and I can actually align the left sides by clicking on this particular toolbar icon. See, I can highlight the right hand sides or the left hand sides. You can align the top edges, bottom edges, align the vertical centers of every object, align the horizontal centers of the object. So that allows you to group things and make things uniform. We also have, you can make things the same width, as you can see there, and the same height, which is what we want to do. Same size, center horizontally, center vertically, bring to the front and bring to the back. The bring to the front and the bring to the back option, to illustrate that, for example, if we move job number over our company logo, you can see it's gone to the back. So if I highlight the actual company logo, I can now say send to back, and then that's gone to the back there. So it's possible to have text or a field on top of your company logo or any image you have on the screen. So let's just move that back in position now. Again, we can hold the shift key, make that match up, and we just align those two there, and we can make these two fields line up as well by doing that, and using the arrow key, just moving that over. So when you have a number of these fields highlighted, you can make group changes to these fields. So for example, I can highlight the builder client name, the job number, project, site address, go to Format, Font, and change this to Calibri, and make that bold 16. Click OK, and see how that's made that change to all the fields that we had selected. It's a little bit too big, so I go back, change the font to be a little bit smaller. So I can do the same thing for all these other options here. So so if you've highlighted a group of items, you can change the foreground color, background color, and change the text alignment as well. Okay, so we strongly recommend that while you're changing a report, that that you actually test it while you go. If you're not sure that you may have done something right or wrong, always save your work, go print the report, see what it looks like, and then make the changes again. Let's change the font again to make it a little bit smaller again. Back to the way it was. We'll now save our work. Say yes, we want to save it. Exit our setup area. Go back to our project. Select the record we want to print. Go back to our job start form. Click on preview. And as you can see, the changes we made using our report designer has now been applied to our report.